Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom, and it's our literature unit for the month of April. And we're going to be talking about a work of literature that actually isn't too long. It's not a novel, but it's a novella, which is like a short novel. This one happens to be about 90 pages long, and it's by John Steinbeck, who wrote a couple of those at least. This one's called The Pearl. Another one is called Of Mice and Men, which I read a couple of months ago, actually. And they are pretty fast to read, and this one's probably pretty easy to read as well. So if you're interested, this might be something you might want to check out.
Yeah, he's a pretty famous American author. He's considered to be a classic of American literature. When I saw this, I thought, oh, this is one I haven't read. But what we are used to seeing in America is if there's a good book, of course, it's turned into a movie or a TV series. I know one of his books, he won the Pulitzer for The Grapes of Wrath. But there's one that I really enjoyed because it had some good-looking actors, and it was East of Eden. And that was made quite a while ago, but I think you could still see it if you get online somewhere. I wanted to mention a novella, as Tom said, is shorter than a novel. So we've got kind of three lengths. We've got the short story, which is the shortest, the novella, which is in the middle, and then the novel. So he wrote quite a bit, actually. He even wrote some comedy. But John Steinbeck is a name that most Americans, at least, are familiar with and probably had to read one or two of his books while they were going through junior high, high school, or even college.
I don't think I had to, but in my university film class, we did have to watch the movie, The Grapes of Wrath, which starred, what's his name? Not John Ford, he's the director, but I can't think of his name right now. He was in On Golden Pond. You know that actor.
Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda, right. I wasn't going to say Henry Ford, but Henry Fonda is actually the actor. And I did watch that movie in university, but I'd like to read the book someday. And today we're going to be talking about The Pearl, which again is a novella by John Steinbeck, and it's a story that is about greed. It's a tragic tale of greed, of wanting more and more and more wealth and money, which I think most of us are guilty of from time to time. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's read the entire contents of today's summary, and then we'll be back to talk about it.
In a small hut on the Baja Peninsula, a pearl diver named Kino begins his morning. He checks on his infant son, Coyotito, and wife Juana, and then contemplates the sunrise. This tranquility is soon disturbed when a scorpion stings Coyotito in his cradle. His parents rush him to the wealthy village doctor, but Kino can only offer 8 small pearls as payment. The doctor refuses these, and the family is coldly dismissed. Angry and desperate, Kino resolves to find a pearl worth the doctor's price. He and Juana take his canoe out and find a huge oyster with a ghostly gleam. Opening it at Juana's urging, he discovers a massive pearl and shouts with excitement. Even before the family arrives back home, word of the pearl has spread through town. Neighbors gather at Kino's home, gazing with desire at the great pearl. Later, even the doctor visits to treat Coyotito, though Kino doesn't trust his intentions. Kino attempts to sell the pearl to local dealers. When they lowball him, he furiously declares that he'll sell it in the capital instead. After thieves try to take the pearl from their home, Juana warns Kino of its evil. However, he insists on his plan of action. Juana attempts to get rid of the pearl, but Kino catches and beats her before she can. More thieves assault Kino, and he kills one in self-defense. In the chaos, the family's home is burned down. They make a run for the capital with the pearl in hand. However, they soon realize that a trio of trackers is on their tail, and they run into the mountains to take refuge in a cave.
All right, let's get to it. Let's discuss the contents of today's lesson. We are summarizing John Steinbeck's The Pearl, which is a tragic tale of greed. Now, we begin our story in a small hut on the Baja Peninsula. A pearl diver named Kino begins his morning. So this is taking place in Mexico on the Baja Peninsula. In the western part of Mexico, there is a peninsula extending down from California. I believe this story takes place in Baja California Sur, and the capital city of that state is La Paz. But in any case here, this story takes place in a small hut, which means the family is pretty poor. It's not a regular house. It's a hut, which is made out of, palm fronds and leaves and branches and stuff like that. And we've got a pearl diver whose name is Kino. So this person dives in the ocean looking for oysters, and of course inside oysters might be pearls that you can sell and make some money with. And he begins his morning. So your morning may begin with getting out of bed and brushing your teeth and having breakfast and getting on the bus and going to school or work. That is your morning or your morning rituals.
Right. And remember, this particular novella author here has subtitled the title of this whole unit, A Tragic Tale of Greed. So we're going to learn some sad things, and it has to do with someone being greedy. Greed, of course, is the noun form of the adjective greedy, wanting more for yourself than you really deserve, or more than your share. It's hard. We all get a little greedy in life sometimes. And in this particular story, it leads to some tragic consequences. So, yeah, they're in a small hut. I did some reading about La Paz, and back then, because this is set back in time, most of the poor people back then, they were all pearl farmers until they had harvested all the pearls. So he is checking on his infant son, Coyotito, and his wife, Juana. Why aren't we saying her name is Juana or something, because these are Spanish names, Coyotito, Kino, and Juana. So we've got this little family in Baja, and like Tom said, this is in Baja, Mexico. So they are getting ready to start the day, and he just goes in to check on his little boy, Coyotito. An infant is usually a child that's less than 6 months old. He's a son, so he's very young. And something kind of scary happens after that, right, Tom?
Indeed, he's a good parent there. So he goes in to check on his son, whose name is Coyotito, and he's also checking on his wife, Juana. And, of course, this is a nice tranquil scene. It's peaceful. It's got a lot of tranquility, but it's disturbed when a scorpion stings Coyotito in his cradle. Of course, the cradle is where the baby is. Usually, rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the bell breaks, the cradle will rock. You know that song. And a scorpion, of course, is a creature in the desert. I guess it's an arachnid, like a spider, and it's got that tail that sticks up in the air, and it can sting you, and it's poisonous. I suppose it could kill you. I guess it depends on the species.
It can't kill adults. I've been stung before, Tom.
Oh, you haven't?
But if you're really tiny, I could see it causing a lot of problems for little ones. Oh, yeah, it hurts. What happens is it stings you, and the area where it's stung just starts swelling. My hand was the size of a baseball glove.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's not a fun thing, but it won't kill older people, no.
Okay, indeed, but again, it might be dangerous for a little baby who's in the cradle, so of course his parents are very concerned about that, and they rush him to the wealthy village doctor, but Kino can only offer 8 small pearls as payment, which probably isn't enough for the doctor, who is wealthy, and that doctor is probably greedy and will want more than that, so will probably, ignore it. Oh, I'm not going to help you with only those little pearls there. Who do you think I am? So I guess he's the only person that can help the baby. But Kino only has 8 small pearls to pay the doctor, and the doctor refuses these, and the family is coldly dismissed. I'd like to help you out there, but I'm a doctor. I've got lots of patients to see, so you got to pay me what is due to me. You guys don't have enough, so go on. You'll have to find another doctor.
Not a very nice doctor. Most doctors, are supposed to care about people and want to help people regardless of payment. But this doctor was wealthy. He expected to be paid what he considered to be his value as he was helping these people who were sick. So the family is coldly dismissed. If you're dismissed, it just means people say, get out, go away, we're done with you. Coldly means without any feeling. So they had to just kind of walk away with their poor little Coyotito and his sting. So angry and desperate, Kino resolves to find a pearl worth the doctor's price. So he still hasn't given up on getting the doctor's help. He figures, well, if I go back into my canoe and, go back into the water, maybe I'll find one. Maybe I'll find a really big pearl that will be pleasing to this doctor. If you're desperate, you're actually just about willing to do anything to get what you need. Your situation is really impossible. So you're hopeless. You have a feeling like, you're going to die, or it's just going to be terrible if you can't do something. So he's angry and desperate. So then he resolves to find a pearl worth the doctor's price. When you resolve to do something, you make a decision. You determine that you're going to do something. So you find a solution to a problem, but resolve kind of has that feeling that you've made a very firm decision to do something, to find a solution.
But you may resolve to learn English in 1 year or something like that. Yeah, you might be conversationally fluent in 1 year if you study for 5 or 6 hours every day. But here, Kino resolves to find a pearl worth the doctor's price, and that's where we're going to leave off at the midway point today. So let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，今天我要带大家来看一个很有名的小说，叫做《珍珠》。当然不是为了要讲珍珠怎么样来去挖取啦，而是珍珠它其实在探讨的是人性的贪婪跟让希望变成绝望这样子的故事。好，那到底发生什么事情呢？当然我们在说故事之前呢，一定要对于场景还有主角要做一些描述。所以故事的第一句话其实就会隐含了很多丰富的内容，比如说我们现在看到的地点就是下加利福尼亚半岛的一间小屋。那么出现了谁呢？出现了我们主角。我们主角呢，就是这一个叫做 Kino 的采珍珠的潜水员。那么后面我们接着就会看到他的太太 Juana， 还有他的儿子叫做 Coyotito。好，我们在这个故事的一开始前2句就先把这样的场景跟主角都说明清楚。那重点是呢，这是一个一般的早晨，但是突然这样子祥和宁静的气氛就被打破了。为什么呢？因为Kino 他的儿子被蝎子从摇篮外面爬进去，然后蛰了他。那当然被毒蝎子蛰到，这是很严重的事情。所以父母亲呢就迅速的带他前往镇上最富有的医生那边，然后呢希望能够得到一些诊治。不过因为 Kino 只能够付出8颗小珍珠作为医药费，所以医生就拒绝接受他们。那这家人呢就很冷淡的被拒绝于门外。那当然这样子的心情是非常糟糕的，所以 Kino 呢感到很愤怒也很绝望，他就决定要去寻找一颗能够符合那位医生价格的珍珠。我们在第2段第1句这边特别看到一个句型，其实它是一个分词构句了。Angry and desperate， 到底是谁生气谁绝望呢？其实是 Kino， 所以句子原本应该是 Kino is angry and desperate。逗点之后本来有一个连接词 and Kino resolves to do something， 那他就下定决心要去找一颗很大的珍珠。不过因为我们曾经说过，句子如果说它的动词如果状态是同时发生的，通常会被简化，所以前面的 Kino is 其实都会整个省略掉，只要表现出生气又绝望这个状态，逗点之后再说这个人要去做哪一件事情就好。好，不过这句还不能放过哦，因为这句有很重要的一个片语，然后它也是关系子句的简化。首先后面的一颗珍珠 a pearl 是先行词，那么后面的 worth 到句尾可以先左右括号，本来应该是 which, that 两个择一的关代，跟 be 动词 is 有在这个关系子句里面。不过因为受到简化的影响，关代 which 或 that 省略。is be 动词变 being， 在句子简化里面 being 还是省略掉，所以剩下的是 worth 这个字。那 worth 这个字呢，我们通常会背它是所谓的价值，它是名词，但其实它也有第二个词性是形容词，指的是值得什么什么。它的用法很特别哦，它会说 be worth 加上名词或动词 ing， 所以回过头来看句子就意义就很清楚了。那个珍珠要能符合这个医生的价格。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Let's continue to summarize our featured work of literature for the month of April, The Pearl by John Steinbeck. So, of course, this story takes place in Mexico. We've got a small family there. Kino is a diver for pearls, and his son Coyotito gets stung by a scorpion. And, of course, Kino and his wife Juana are desperate to help the kid who just got stung by a scorpion. So they take the young Coyotito to the wealthy village doctor, but Kino doesn't have enough money to pay the doctor. He only has 8 small pearls. The doctor refuses these, and the family is coldly dismissed. So the family is desperate, and Kino resolves to find a pearl worth the doctor's price. So how is he going to get this pearl? Well, as you said last time or earlier in our lesson today, lots of people in that part of the world made their living by diving for pearls. So maybe he can find a pearl that's worth the doctor's price. He and Juana take his canoe out and find a huge oyster with a ghostly gleam. Ooh, that sounds kind of scary there. A canoe is a boat that basically is carved out of one piece of wood, or it's put together with 2 pieces of tree bark or something like that. And, of course, canoes are quite popular among indigenous people in North America. My sister has a canoe. It's made out of metal, but it's still called a canoe. And in any case, they go out in this canoe and they find a huge oyster. But the oyster has a ghostly gleam. Gleam means it kind of shines a little bit, and it's ghostly, it's kind of spooky, so there's something kind of weird about this big pearl.
Yeah, it gives you kind of a weird feeling like, oh, this could be a bad, bad thing. Ghostly gleam. So Juana urges him to open it. So he does, and he discovers a massive pearl. So it's huge. If something's massive, it's really big. And of course, that's exactly what Kino was hoping to find. He wanted to find a big pearl to give to that wealthy doctor who had rejected them because they didn't have enough to pay him with. And now he's found this huge pearl. But remember, it has a ghostly gleam. So even before the family arrives back home from trying to find this pearl, remember, Juan is with them and they went out in the canoe. Word of the pearl, or the discovery of the pearl, has already spread through the town. People are already talking about it in the town. I'm sure there are a lot of poor people living there. They know all about Kino, and they probably all know each other. You know how those small towns are. Well, word has spread through town already.
Indeed, and it's probably Kino's own fault because he found that oyster and then he yelled out in excitement. So other people nearby thought, he must have found a pretty big pearl there. So again, I guess when you get rich quickly, you should not brag about it right away because other people will know about it and they'll try to steal it from you. So again, he found this massive pearl. He shouted with excitement. And, of course, news of the pearl spread through town, and neighbors gather at Kino's home, gazing with desire at the great pearl. Remember, that pearl has a ghostly gleam, so it's a big pearl. It's probably worth a lot of money, but also it's an unusual pearl because it has this ghostly gleam. It's kind of glowing. It's kind of shining, so people want to check it out. And, of course, they look with desire at it. I wish I had that pearl. Why does this Kino guy have this pearl? I think I should get it myself.
A lot of jealousy. Remember, this is a tragic tale of greed. It's not just Kino's greed or the doctor's greed. It's actually the townsfolk's greed as well. Everybody wants this pearl. There are some other bad guys coming up that also want that massive pearl. So the neighbors, knowing about his discovery, gather at Kino's home, and they're gazing with desire at the great pearl. When you gaze, it just means you look longingly at something for a long time, to gaze. Usually when you're gazing, you're just thinking. You're not really trying to get someone's attention. You're just looking for a long time at something. We use it a lot when we're talking about somebody maybe having a crush on someone or loving someone and gazing at that person with love and longing. So they're looking at that pearl like, oh boy, I wish that pearl belonged to me. I wish we'd found that pearl. And later, even the doctor visits to treat Coyotito. Now, he still hasn't been paid. He wasn't given that massive pearl. But he suddenly decides he wants to visit this family, this poor family. And at that moment, Kino doesn't trust the doctor's intentions. What is that doctor doing there? What's he really want from us? Again, he hadn't been paid at this point, so what's the doctor doing there? Well, if you know the book, the doctor's there because he wants to see if he can figure out where Kino has put or hid the pearl. Kino actually put it away so people couldn't get it.
Right, so I would be similar to Kino there. The doctor, of course, refused to treat their son, their baby. And now suddenly the doctor appears and the doctor offers to treat Coyotito. So I would be suspicious of the doctor. You only came here when you found out I've got this big pearl. Otherwise, you weren't going to give me the time of day. So yeah, I would be suspicious as well. So he doesn't trust the doctor's intentions. He doesn't trust what the doctor wants to do. And Kino then attempts or tries to sell the pearl to local pearl dealers. And when they lowball him, he furiously declares that he'll sell it in the capital instead, which would be the city of La Paz. And, of course, I think according to the summary that I read, all of these dealers knew about this and they all agreed to have the price really low. And so they lowballed him, which means they offered him a really low price for something that should be more expensive. So, of course, he probably knew what was going on and he furiously declares that he'll sell it in the capital instead. If you're furious, you're angry, and here furiously is an adverb. So he furiously declared. He furiously stated that he was going to go to the capital instead. If I were him, I would not have let them know what he's going to do because now he's going to have people following him as he goes to the capital city.
Yeah, if you read through this, you see that Kino seems to make one mistake after another and kind of land himself into trouble. So furious does mean angry. If you're talking about levels of anger, though, this is extremely angry. So he's really, really mad, really angry. He's furious. And like Tom says, he declares out loud, he tells everyone there, I'm going to go sell it in the capital instead. Well, thieves try to take the pearl from their home. After this happens, Juana, the wife, warns Kino of its evil. She has a bad feeling about this pearl. However, Kino just insists on his plan of action. He's made a plan. He intends to go to the capital to sell the pearl, and she's not going to get him to change his mind. Well, she attempts to get rid of the pearl herself, but Kino catches and beats her before she can. He's not a good guy. He beats up his own wife. Now, more thieves assault. Assault here just means to beat up, physically harm someone. They assault Kino, and he kills one of the thieves in self-defense. So if you do something in self-defense, especially killing someone, it usually means you're not guilty of murder, even though you have killed someone. Defense just is the action of protecting or defending someone or even yourself from an attack by others. So he didn't mean to kill this guy, but does end up killing somebody in self-defense. In the chaos, and we know it's kind of crazy right now, the family's home is burned down. Oh, all of these bad things are happening. They make a run for the capital with the pearl in hand. To make a run for something means you are escaping quickly because danger is lurking or someone's chasing you. What happens after that, Tom?
Well, they soon realize, however, that a trio of trackers is on their tail, and they run into the mountains to take refuge in a cave. A trio is a group of 3 people. These are trackers, which are people who are following them. They are on their tail, which means they're following them. Your tail, of course, is behind you, so that's where they are. And so they go into the mountains and they take refuge in a cave. To take refuge means you seek shelter someplace, you seek protection. They go hide in a cave, basically, so those people cannot find them and take the pearl. Okay, that brings us to the end of our summary for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
所以 Kino 就跟胡安娜就乘着独木舟就往外去找啦，然后呢被他们发现一个闪耀着幽灵般光芒的巨大的牡蛎。那么因为 Kino 呢就在这个胡安娜的力劝之下就把它打开，而且发现一个很大的珍珠。好，我们来看一下第2段第3句这个地方，它也是分词构句。如果根据文意上来还原的话，其实句子本来应该是 When he opens it。当 Kino 打开这个牡蛎的时候 when 把它删掉，那么 opens 变成 opening， 可是 Kino 跟逗点后面的 he 主词是相同的，所以这边的 he 或者是 Kino 就可以直接删掉，也就是剩下打开他就发现如何如何，同样也是一个2个动作同时进行，或者是因为瞬间的这个动感的发生，当他一打开他就发现了一个很大的珍珠，所以形成了一个所谓句子简化跟分词构句。同样在第2段的第5句地方，我们也看到这样的分词构句，因为第5句本来应该有第一个动词 gather 跟逗点之后第2个动词的 gaze， 但是因为2个动作同时发生，所以逗点之后原本应该是 and gaze， 把 and 连接词删掉之后 gaze 就变成 gazing。好，那么后来呢，回到家之前啊，那个消息就传遍了全镇，大家都一直去看。那 Kino 呢就发现这个珍珠真的很值钱，他就想要卖给经销商，然后呢又希望能够卖到最好的价钱。可是因为胡安娜警告那一颗珍珠啊，其实是带来罪恶，是带来坏运的，而且有小偷一直想要去偷，所以后来胡安娜其实试图想要丢掉，可是 Kino 居然还因此而殴打他。总而言之呢，因为这颗珍珠就带来了很多的不幸跟混乱。那么之后就有更多的小偷想要来偷这颗珍珠，而且 Kino 还出于自我防卫杀死了其中一个小偷，而且在一片混乱当中，一家人的房子居然就被烧毁了，所以他们就抓着珍珠逃向最大城。不过在这个时候呢，有一组3个人的跟踪者一直跟在他们的后面，他们跑进深山，躲到一个山洞去避难。这个故事呢，到底会怎么发展？一定要继续收听我们明天的故事哦。我是安娜，我们明天见。
That is it for today, everybody, but I advise you to come back and join us next time as we continue to summarize our featured work of literature for the month of April, The Pearl, by John Steinbeck. Please join us then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.